If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. For one, it's free. Two, there are a bunch of creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Not only that, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more places. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's really everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
How's it going, lovebirds? You are now listening to the podcast that brings you real relationship advice from real relationship experiences. I'm your host, Derek Brown Jr., and on today's podcast, you have three very intelligent individuals. We're literally just sitting here and just having general conversations. And, you know, of course, we'll always bring it back to relationships. So stay blessed, stay healthy, stay safe, and enjoy the episode. Thank you, lovebirds.
Jeez, I'm flattered. You said I'm intelligent.
I know, right? Really talking us up there.
No, I mean, we've been having some good conversations so far, for sure. Like, we were talking about relationships, and we were just talking about how, like, cringy some people can be.
Dating right now, like, I'm so blessed that I do not have to be in the dating scene, like, to be able to have somebody that's not, you know, a part of everything that's going on, just, I don't know, with social media and just the way it is and how easy it is to replace people. Like, everybody is so replaceable, but it's so hard to find that one person where you're like, wow, like, I don't know. I feel like reality and just, like, society standards has, like, set the bar so high that, like, nobody's ever going to be happy and, like, nobody can, like, achieve that happiness within a relationship. Because it's not easy to be in a relationship. Like, being married, that's, like, one of the hardest things you ever have to, like, I mean, depending on how you're looking at it, I feel like that's, like, one of the hardest things to do is to be married and be committed to somebody for the rest of your life. That's a long-ass fucking time, like, through thick, through thin, through sickness and health, like, all that shit. Like, it's crazy that, I don't know, that's becoming, like, a rarity these days where people don't see that as, like, what am I trying to say here?
Something that's, you know, sacred.
Like the foundation, like a foundation of a relationship. Like, it's very simple, but, you know, you have to be willing to work at it. And in this day and age, like I said, everything is so temporary, everything is so replaceable. You know, you get on Tinder, just swipe left, swipe right. Like, it's not real.
It's like buying things online.
Yeah,
to
for
choosing
real. Like,
your
you just, like,
soulmate.
online shopping, for real. And I told myself I wasn't going to fucking watch it, but I watched Love is Blind, that stupid show on Netflix, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, people are so desperate to find, like, that significant other. I mean, obviously, it's reality TV, so who's to say what's real, what's not real, but people are, like, willing to go to those lengths. Like, it's a show, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but, like, they put them in, like, the pods, they can't see each other, they, like, go on dates, but they're, like, in two separate rooms, they, like, talk to each other, they have no idea what each other looks like, and it gets to the point where, like, they either, like, propose to each other, and then it goes on, and, like, they get, I think they meet their families, and, like, they live together, they go on, like, vacations together, just to, like, date and get to know each other, and then eventually, at the end of, like, the 30 days, they end up either deciding if they want to get married, or if they don't want to get married, and it's just, like, that's crazy that in this day and age, that's what people are looking for. I don't know, working at a nursing home and talking to, like, all these older people, I'm like, the way you guys talk about love is so whimsical and so, like, outlandish. Like, it doesn't even sound real. It sounds like something out of, like, a fairy tale novel. Just, like, right. You know, the men, they would go away to war and then come back and be like, you know, we getting married, bitch. Like, this is it.
Yeah,
like,
hey, this is it.
Yeah, like, the commitment was there, and they, you know, that's why marriages lasted so much longer. Like, a lot of them, like, oh, I was with my husband until he died a year ago, or, you know, we were married for 75 years. Could you, like, to me, I would love that for myself, but, like, to think about it, like, in today's terms, like, 75 years with somebody, that is a long-ass fucking time. But they did
75% of your life.
Yeah, they made it work.
That's, if
they would get
100%.
Married, yeah. They got married so young back then.
I noticed,
so young.
Well, like you were talking about earlier, you know, just replacing things. Like, I noticed with a lot of things, not even just relationships, like, back then, people fixed things and they kept them. Yep. You know what I mean? Like,
it was something
It was
to
worth
work
fixing.
on.
Everything was valuable. Everything
exactly.
held so much more value back then than it does now. Because even just like with the clothing that we wear, like fast fashion, it's so crazy. Everything's constantly changing. Trends are constantly changing. You know, relationships are constantly changing. Like the way that you approach it, just I feel like I don't know. I'm born in the wrong era. That's what I feel.
I think yes, because like I'm a '90s baby, and even the certain kind of music that I appreciate is so much different than a lot of people's in my same age group.
No, it's more depth. There's more depth
Like,
to it.
Yeah, I can, and it's probably because since I'm born in the '90s, I'm listening to the music that my parents listened to that they really fuck with.
Exactly.
So like I'm hearing those slow jams and all the R&B music. So like when I hear
Genuine.
yeah. So it's just I definitely feel you on that different era kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like back in the day, just with my job that I did before here, I was an activities specialist over at a nursing home, and like the people, they would have like musicians come in and play music and just like songs from like their era, and it was all love music. It was all love songs. It was all about love, or like finding that cute girl and taking her down to the town square for a dance. It's like that sounds
taking her out to the hill.
Yeah, like that sounds so just
Go square dancing.
just outlandish. Like I want that. You know, back then they just thought, they didn't think anything of it. But now, even just talking to them, they're just like, yeah, the way you guys interact with each other and the way you guys, give up on your marriages, it's just so different. Like, we always worked everything out no matter what. At the end of the day, we never went to bed at each other. Went to bed angry at each other. And I was just like, damn, like...
I think that, like, there's no point in going to bed mad. Like, this life is... long or too short, however you want to think about it.
For real.
Life is unpredictable. Time is unpredictable. Like, you don't know when or how much longer you have with somebody. So it's like, why spend time being mad at anybody? Like, that's why I personally, anything, I do my best to be like, it's not worth it.
No,
I don't
it's
want to
really
spend
not. To steal your joy, like...
for the whole day. Like, some people's joys are going like the whole day.
For real.
From one day.
Anger is a punishment that you give yourself for someone else's mistake.
Exactly.
I seen that quote online the other day. I love it.
No, it is
It's
very
true.
relevant. Very, very relevant.
I know.
Don't punish yourself.
In real estate, it's easy.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude,
It's easy.
She's seen it.
I'm just dipping my toes into it. I'm just like,
she's
jeez.
real estate. One day you can be like, man, this is great. The next day you can be like, what the hell am I doing? Am I like,
the people, it's all because it's all relationships. So
that's straight up.
it's like you may get some people who are just like perfect, have a perfect walkthrough, and then you get somebody who is just like, yeah, you guys are ghetto, or things like whatever they want to say. I've heard it all. Like, this is the way that the contractors did this is ghetto, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow.
Pleasing everybody.
You can't please everybody.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Remember that one guy we had that came and looked at the house and literally said the front of the house would have made his wife want to vomit.
It was, you showed it before.
You definitely should. Oh my god.
We won't say
right.
it.
We won't.
Won't throw
but I will say, people tend to focus on the negatives.
They really
instead
do.
of looking
Yeah,
at the positives.
exactly. You could do 1,000 things
like
right.
that house
and
fit
you
him
get
perfectly.
Right.
Like, what he needed it for, it fit him perfectly. The size, because he was looking for a house for his dad. He wanted 2 bedrooms, so if he needed to come stay during the week, like, it was great for that. Was it cosmetically perfect? No, but it was.
Let me know when you find the perfect house.
That's what I'm saying.
Less
like,
than 30 years old.
Right.
Especially doing what our company does, but at the same time, some people are just. There's just something else. People are interesting.
That's one way to spin it.
That is the perfect way to spin it.
Yeah.
People are
very
definitely
interesting.
definitely
To say the
interesting.
least, yeah.
And speaking of interesting, I have not openly discussed the COVID-19 situation on the podcast yet.
Oh boy.
Here
we go.
I feel like it's a good time since
man.
we're discussing, what's interesting, and I think it's getting weird out there, man. It's starting to get pretty weird out
I'll give
there.
you that. It's weird as shit.
Like, it's starting to feel
No,
weird
is it
going to
bad
the
that I
grocery
almost broke
stores.
down
Some
today?
Twilight
I
Zone
almost
stuff.
started to cry when I was at the store today.
I'm glad you didn't.
just-
Your dinner paid off. It was amazing.
It
No,
was
like,
good.
I'm glad I did it, but man, like just being out there and seeing like people are panicking. Like you can see, like they're not like outwardly panicking, but you see it on their face. You
Oh,
see,
yeah.
like this isn't normal. This is
Mhm.
weird. Like how long
Mhm.
is this gonna take? You know, and it was weird being like somebody that wasn't out there wearing a mask, and so many people were. I feel like they were looking at me like, "Wow, look at this dumb bimbo out here."
Yeah, I don't wear a mask
shopping,
either.
We're not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And then, like, I was like, "Should I wear
We're
a
gonna
mask?
be-
Should I go get a mask and wear a mask?" And,
Yeah, where
you
can I go
know,
find a mask?
Yeah.
Where a place
that too?
it's
Where
not
am I
even
gonna
taken?
find a mask in the first place?
Yeah, you can. You know, cut up an old T-shirt. That's about the
No,
best.
That's what
there's
people are
been-
doing.
I did. I went and I looked at a house that these older folks were looking to sell the other day, and I cut up a T-shirt and I put it around myself. I don't want to get them sick.
No,
They have
that's
Yeah.
my
allergies.
biggest. That is
Yeah.
my biggest.
I get
concern.
that.
That's
I
my
get that
biggest
part of it.
concern.
Yeah,
But, like-
they're not giving it to other people.
For sure. Like but
It's like-
it's weird.
It's
There's
definitely
even just trying to distinguish between like what's conspiracy
Yeah.
theory, what's
The
real,
fake
what's
news.
fake. Exactly, and
As
it's
they
so
would say,
it's
yeah.
terrifying. Like I'd just be like, I'm off social media. Like I'm not on
Yeah,
Facebook. I'm
yeah.
not gonna be like consuming all this all the
Mhm,
time
mhm.
because it's just fear mongering. Like that's all it is. Like I want to be aware, but I don't want to be aware to the point where like my anxiety is so bad that I'm freaking out. I'm thinking about it all the time. Like for a while, I was like, I'm just gonna go panic buy because everyone else is panic buying, and if I don't panic buy, I'm not gonna have enough for me and mine. And it's just that's a horrible mindset to have. If had everybody went and bought what they needed just to get through like 2 weeks, like things wouldn't have happened the way they had. Like I went to the store today, there's still no toilet paper.
Yeah.
Thank God I have toilet paper, but at the same time, thinking
Yeah.
about like all the older people who go to the store just to buy, things. They don't
Just
buy things
things
in
for the
bulk.
day,
Yeah,
things for the
exactly.
week.
They usually do just go buy for the day or for the next few days, and it was just heartbreaking seeing these old people walk around. Like you should not be out right now. Like that's why I was thinking about like starting a service and just delivering
to them. Yeah,
like creating an app and having them put in their orders and doing it for free. Because at this point, I don't need to make a profit. Like I would rather
we're trying to
help people. Like why does everything have to be beneficial for you? Why can't you just do it out of the like kindness out of your heart? Instead of just always trying to make a profit.
The fact that there's a guy who had like so many masks and they had to confiscate it from him.
Where was this at?
I don't know exactly. But if we were to look it up right now, it could pop up.
This was in the States, or
Yeah, this was in the States. I'm pretty sure he was selling masks for like 1,000% markup, like
People
more than
are
that.
so
I don't know the exact number. I don't know the exact.
So selfish.
No, it was pretty. I saw that and I was like, damn. Like, yeah, that's get your entrepreneur shit on. But you got to remember, like, we're all in this together.
Yeah,
for real. At the
Like, if
same
you're-
time,
that's
though.
bad time.
If you're the only person
know.
standing, like, that's not even a fun thing. Like, your homies out here, you got your family. I understand that, but what about life without, your friends or your barber or there's real lives on the line. So it's like
For real.
whenever we're talking about hoarding, I'm gonna take what I need, and then
leave enough for everybody else.
Yeah.
Seriously. And that's how it should have been, but I don't know who started it, where it started, but man, once it did, it just wildfire. Everybody started panic buying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it will start with the toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to
Then it
know,
was hand sanitizer.
like, where did the domino effect start? Like, who, where, and when, and why did that start?
Yeah, we'll never
That's
know.
conspiracy.
Yeah,
in
we'll
itself.
never know. We'll never know because who knows?
Yeah, we could get into the topic of conspiracy theories.
We could.
We could. We might be here for a while.
It's a deep rabbit hole.
Right.
Definitely be on record, that's for sure. So if that comes back up,
I don't want him to shut my shit down. I'm gonna be
yeah,
quiet.
I know nothing. Do not ask me anything. Yeah, but I heard that on the date of April 10th. No, I
Wasn't there? It wasn't me. I don't know. Man.
I don't remember that podcast.
No such thing.
Yeah.
That recall. I plead the fifth.
So, I mean, we're here. You guys are in a relationship. What are some key, nuggets some tips that you could give to the lovebirds about just cohabitating together, living together, harmonious living.
Harmonious.
You know,
They always harmonious. And that's the thing. No relationship is perfect. People are looking for this like picture perfect, just like unrealistic standard, and that's why marriages don't work out, because people expect way too much. Like, it's so cliche, but that other person has to be your best friend. Like, I can genuinely say 110%, like, that's my best friend. God forbid, like, I don't ever want to, you know, not be with him, but I would still want him as a friend. You know, he's, you know, he motivates me to be a better person. He, you know, teaches me things that I would have never known if it hadn't have been for him. You know, there's just things that you look for in a partner that it's supposed to complement you. You don't want somebody to complete you, because you should be complete yourself. You shouldn't be going into looking for relationships. For real. You shouldn't be going, that's why relationships don't work, because you're broken. And people don't like to, you know, admit that. It took me a while, you know, him and I did break up for a little while, because, you know, I was going through things myself where I felt like I just needed to be single, because there was just issues that I wasn't dealing with, commitment issues especially, where, you know, I felt I just needed to take a step back from the relationship, because, like, this was the person I saw myself spending the rest of my life with. But at the same time, it was like, you know, I don't want to be selfish and try to push this and try to make it work when that could do more damage to the relationship than if I just step back, take some time to myself, and then, you know, in a few months or in a year or two, reach back out and be like, hey, you know, I'm sorry for the person I was when we were together, but, you know, I've changed, I've grown, this is where I am at now. If you want to make this work, great. If not, then at the same time, then, you know, I always have love for you and I wish the best for you. I feel relationships, when they end, people don't want to look at it as like something that they learn. I feel every relationship, every interaction you have with somebody is something that you are meant to experience in your lifetime, or in, you know, if you believe multiple lifetimes, whatever the case may be. I think that every interaction you have and every, you know, relationship you have is something that is meant to either teach you a lesson, or you're supposed to take it with you for the rest of your life. And I think that the main thing in building a solid relationship is definitely trust, but that's pretty, again, cliche. You should always trust that person that you're going to spend all your time with, but also just seeing that person as a sense of like a building block. Like, you build each other up. Like, if I'm going through it, I want to make sure that person's there, like, hey, you're doing great. Like, things may not be going great right now, but they're going to get there, you're going to get there. Or even when you're doing like amazing and you have so much going for you, you know, that person is just there for you to like root you on, kind of like your little cheerleader on the side. But mainly, I think that just having that person be your best friend, because when you have that somebody that's just always there for you, supporting you, keeping you on track, especially like with goals and things like that, especially when I first started my business, my art business and stuff, that was just something I did for myself. But I had never ever had somebody like look at me and be like, hey, that's great, you should really start a business from that. I've never seen, like, having somebody see potential in you and just like building each other up is what a lot of relationships are missing. They're very codependent. It's okay to be dependent on somebody, but that can't be your all. Like, let's say you were to break up tomorrow, you need to have like a plan in action. Be like, that person can't be your everything, even if you are married. Like, you gotta have your own. I think it was Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, and they were talking about how like they weren't separated, but they were like taking time to like find things that made themselves happy again. Be like, I don't want you to be my only source of happiness.
That's right.
Which is why that's like something that I've learned, you know, dating Alex, is I needed to find things that made me happy, because he was starting his business and doing all this stuff with himself, and I was, you know, I felt left out. I felt like he didn't care anymore. Like a typical, you know, anybody would feel that way.
Right.
When they don't have anything going
I
for
work
themselves.
a lot. I'll give you that.
No, yeah, like, no.
As an entrepreneur,
we were just talking
It's
about
not-
that
it's
though.
not-
Just
yeah.
like,
It's
you can't
not
be
easy.
bored
No,
waiting on
no.
the next person. Like,
Exactly.
you know.
So, like, that was one thing that I really learned from this relationship was I need to find my own things to fill my own time. Like, I cannot rely solely on a relationship. Because I feel like, you know, just the things I've dealt with in the past, I've always just felt I have to have something to fill that void, or I have to have something that distracts me or keeps me busy. But now I'm able to find things, like I just redid this whole porch. Like, I was just about to
quarantined,
bring
so
there's
that
not shit to do. But at the same time, like, you know, he's busy doing whatever, and I'm like out here doing my own thing, or he's busy in the office, I'm downstairs, you know, working on orders for my customers, or doing my photography thing. Like, it was
grinding.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you gotta find that person that wants to motivate you to be a better
become entrepreneurs together.
No,
yeah,
seriously,
exactly.
I'm telling you,
That's what it is.
So
Once you,
healthy.
it won't be easy, but it's like that is the most solid, most committed
That's a
bond
great
you
way
will
to
ever build.
straight up.
with
It's a
somebody.
great way to build your relationship.
It is.
It's
It really,
literally
really
the
is.
great way to build a relationship, your family, protect your interests,
Straight
your
up.
goals.
Exactly.
Because when you marry in
Take
a
control of your
business,
fate.
you can. I mean, think about it this way: if you marry in a business, that is just as important as like being married as a couple. Like, there's people who see their business partners more than they see their wives or husbands. Like, so if you are the wife or the husband, form that marriage in the business world too as entrepreneurs, and you'll be just as surprised. Like, yeah, you'll get frustrated and shit, but like, you know, you'll create. If you can make a business work together too, you guys have just created a super mind, and you are invincible together.
I
Whatever
feel
you
like it
guys
just
think
builds
of.
onto your
Secondary
relationship.
bond,
Like,
yeah.
not only do you have, you know, that intimate relationship, you have that business relationship that, you know, kind of balances everything out, where, you know, even though you work together, you're still able to have that intimate bond where you want what's best for one another. Most
Right.
people are like, don't do business with family, but, you know, I think that your husband or your wife is a little bit different.
Yeah, they're not
It's
technically family.
Yeah.
No, you should definitely do. If you, there's a book called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill, and I mean, he basically talks about forming a supermind, and one of the greatest superminds. He says this in Outwitting and the Devil too. Is basically finding that partner of yours that is literally like, if you can find a partner that is your romantic, your confidant, your spiritual person, like you guys actually click, you vibe together, and you guys can form a business, you support each other's dreams and goals, and you guys are fearless together, you know, that is the greatest thing ever.
For
like,
real.
Literally the greatest thing ever.
It is.
What else would you do with your life? Like that there is like a premium to life.
Yeah, and it's easy to take for granted, honestly. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it is.
sometimes we sit around here and we're like, oh man, we're bored, this sucks, you know, COVID, we can't go out and do anything, but like, we really have a great thing going, you know.
Heck yeah.
I don't know. Just being an entrepreneur alone, like, is
No,
awesome.
I was talking
Being
to...
in control of your time.
Yeah,
your-
I was over at a coffee
everything.
shop the other day, and I was talking to this lady about like how blessed I am to work in a market that, thank God, usually the housing market is what
Yep.
goes first when shit like this happens, but people have still been wanting to get houses, and
Real estate
look at
is almost foolproof. Almost.
Everybody's always going to need a house
Almost.
to live in. Yeah,
What we're doing.
Unless you're in the state of Illinois.
Dude, our business has not like
Even in
failed at all. It's like
No,
got better.
it's, absolutely. People always need a place to live. That's what's
Always.
cool about real estate.
Always. You can do showings
Fancy.
from a phone call. You don't have to touch them.
Yeah.
You don't have to be 6 feet. It's like, hey, I'm gonna give you the lockbox.
A million ways to skin the cat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's-
Yeah.
Oh, let's reschedule. Or hey,
Yeah.
let's do a virtual tour. Let's do a video tour.
Mm,
You know.
They got 3D tours now. They're so cool.
I really
I
want to
get into
that.
it too.
I really,
yeah.
really do. That would save me a lot of time.
Yo.
Oh, with
Dude,
the
dude,
And it's
virtual
have you ever seen like the
tour?
dollhouse views?
Yeah.
mm,
You never seen like the 3D tours where you can like they have like an iPad. You can do it from an iPad. And they'll just put it on like a stand and you just like rotate it around the room.
Oh,
And
maybe
it's
I
like an
have.
angle of everything. You can like drag it like the Google Street View thing. It's like 3D.
I think I have.
It's incredible.
seen it. I
Anyway.
think Quinn knows how to do stuff.
Probably,
Like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yep. I
Have
want
you-
to start doing it too.
Have y'all seen the VR?
Oh
Like,
man, yeah.
that'll be so cool.
That
Yeah.
would be dope.
Like when everybody has VR stuff.
Like a
and
VR walkthrough of
Just send
like
you a link.
apartment.
Yeah, and you can like put the
Perfect.
goggles on and just walk through it.
Yeah.
And do everything virtual.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure they've run a walkthrough it once, but it'd save you a ton of
Mm-hmm.
yeah
It would.
time
Mhm.
overall
It
for
really
sure.
would.
All right. Well, I hope I'm not steering too far off the topic of relations. You know, it's gonna be relations / real estate. I guess we're all on the field. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's I always say that real estate. I have a relationship with real estate. You know, like a lot of real estate in general is for me like a vehicle. I love it. I'm good at it.
Yeah,
you know,
I feel like you are too. You know?
Yeah, you know, it's something to be good at.
Yeah, for sure.
It pays it'll create wealth for our families.
Mm-hmm.
But I also realize like my relationship with real estate is like, hey, I love you, but you know, I'm not in love with you. You know, like you'll always be a part of my life forever. Like we'll never break up, but in the future there will be something that I will be doing like that has nothing to do with real estate. You know, I'll still own real estate, but
it's that building block to get
Yeah,
you to where you
yeah.
want to be eventually.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a vehicle, like you said.
so do y'all have things like that as like a couple, like a dream, kind of like a away from real estate? Like, have you guys?
I've always wanted to invest in my own hemp farm, most definitely, and I've talked to him about it. And I feel like that's something that we're in the works of, because in Illinois, land is so cheap to go out there or even, you know, collab with a farmer or whatever that has the equipment that we need to build a hemp farm. We could do hemp housing because hemp is so durable. You could create anything out of it.
Hempcrete and all that.
Yeah.
Were we talking about that, or am I just tripping?
Are you deja vuing?
Maybe, because when you said that you can create anything from it, or maybe you were telling me about it on one of our rides. You were talking about.
You can make a lot of shit from
You
hemp.
can make
For
clothing.
sure.
You can make
yeah.
hempcrete, which could be used as roads, could be used as houses. You could textiles.
They're carbon.
rope.
I believe
They're
those
carbon negative.
Carbon negative.
They
building
absorb
structures.
carbon, so
Yeah.
the longer
Pollution
that it
and
sits,
shit.
it absorbs the carbon and it basically calcifies and it gets more and more solid, like more and more durable the longer that it stands. But then if you wanted to knock it down and rebuild it somewhere else, you could still do it, like with cinder blocks or anything like that. You can't just like tear that down and reuse it. But with hempcrete, from what I understand, is you can dissolve it because it's limestone and
Yep. Like
hemp stock.
mortar.
Yeah.
Limestone.
limestone and hemp
It's
stock.
called hempcrete.
Hempcrete.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
you should look into it. It's interesting.
Crete. It's a whole. That's
Yeah, that's so cool.
allegedly going to be the new $1 billion crop is hemp, and I want to hop on it now.
Yeah, like hemp oil. Like I just got some hemp oil.
Forget everything you just heard. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, for real. Yeah,
Like the Men in Black.
Yeah, CBD is going to be like that's where hemp. CBD is derived from hemp, so there's just so many cash crops that you can get from that one plant. Like you could build houses, you could build roads, you could build literally anything you want. Ropes,
Just get
clothing.
medicine out
you
of
can
it.
get medicine out of
Yeah.
it. You can get tinctures out of it. There's so much.
Tinctures.
Tinctures. There's so much that you can do with the hemp plant. It's just it's very broad. And going back to, the housing thing, if we wanted to build houses out of hempcrete, that's something that we could look to in the future.
When you can smoke your house.
That'd be crazy.
Like, you
That'd
know
be
what?
crazy.
I'm not so. I
It
don't
doesn't catch
mind
on
the
fire
COVID-19.
once you mix it with the concrete. It won't catch on fire though. That's what's cool about it too. It's like
Really?
fire resistant. It's like the perfect building
Are
material.
you serious?
And the paper industry back in like the 30s killed the hemp industry, and it's just now like coming back. So I agree. I think it's like the new $1 million cash crop,
Yeah,
multi-million-dollar cash crop.
we should definitely.
I'm telling
That would be game changing.
Straight
I'm
up.
telling.
And they're like all kinds of alternative housing too. Like they're making shipping container, buildings. I noticed they make there's a coffee shop over in Moline now made out of shipping containers, which means the Rock Island County the Rock Island County engineer or whatever it is allowing that over in Moline now. So, and probably Rock Island too. So like you can make
Very
cheap housing
cheap.
for
Very,
like
very
people that are in need of housing, which especially with the COVID thing right now, there's a lot of people in need of housing, affordable housing,
Yep.
especially.
Like just
Like-
simple little 1-bedroom houses. Like
Yeah.
he was explaining to me that there's a shortage
Super shortage of
affordable 1-bedrooms.
No, there
It's
is.
cool. Like those shipping containers are like $1,000 a piece.
Because people
Yeah.
forget that, like, you don't need. There's not so many people with families. Like, there's a lot
But
of
you forget that there's
individuals.
not.
Yeah, that just need a room, and
And 1-bedrooms, if
somewhere
you
to
think
cook
about
a
it,
meal and
kinda,
take a shower.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Another guy in Champaign was talking about that idea as well. Just like a bunch of housing for
Small like
bedroom.
one bed communities.
Just-
Yep. Still.
You can make that happen too.
I know we could.
So
That's why,
easy.
like, when I saw that coffee shop, low-key, I was more excited about, like, the idea that
That
Rock
they're
Island
letting
engineer
you
is
actually
letting
do it,
you
yeah.
use shipping containers
Could you
as
imagine
buildings.
like a whole apartment complex just made out of shipping
Yeah.
containers? And it would look cool. It's eye-catching. It's different. It's not, the run-of-the-mill architecture that you see all over the place, especially in the Midwest. I feel like it's all starting to look the same, but
When you can
the
pick up
shipping
lots in
containers.
Rock Island practically free, so if you can put those on there for a few $1,000s and get $400 a month out of it, say, like, that'd be awesome.
Heck
You built a little community like that over in Southwest or Northwest Rock Island,
People wouldn't
Speaking of
complain
Northwest
at
Rock Island.
all.
Yeah, be
Like,
great housing.
And you don't need people don't need a lot of space. Like,
Mm-mm.
even right now, like we're not.
Mm-mm.
You're never.
This is
taking
the era
up-
of the tiny house.
no,
lot of
yeah,
space.
everybody's downsizing, which is
Yeah.
perfect because nobody wants to deal with
They
a
don't want to lug a
30-year
bunch of shit
mortgage
with them.
anymore.
Yep,
Yeah,
that too.
and that too. Everybody's downsizing, which I think is great. As a collective, if we downsized and we stopped feeding into capitalism and things like that, we would be way better off. And that's facts.
That's a good way to cap it. That's facts. So, I hope you heard most of what we were talking about. We talked a little bit about COVID-19, talked a little bit about hemp, we talked a little bit about relationships in general, how good they can be, how tough they can be, how grateful you should be. You heard a lot of good information. And if you guys want to reach out to either of these people, then feel free to reach out to the Good Relationships podcast. And also, if you want to plug any channels.
I think all of my tags are Vexilanity, VEXILANITY, Instagram, Facebook, Art Vanities.
And I'm Top Notch Real Estate, topnotchqc.com, and Top Notch Real Estate LLC is my Facebook page if you want to get a hold of me.
Excellent. Thank you, lovebirds, for listening as always. Thank you, too, for being on the show.
My pleasure.
And as always, stay blessed, not stressed.